Recorded at 2024's GCSAA Conference and Trade Show in Phoenix, Arizona. Here's your host, SiteOne Golf Associate Max McGee.
Thanks for taking time out of your day to come speak with us here at the SiteOne booth at the Phoenix GIS.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You mind introducing yourself? Tell us where you're from.
Yeah, Alan Brown. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm at Timuquana Country Club, director of golf course operations there for about 10 years now.
Excellent. And Mr. Jason Wilkerson calls on you?
Yeah, Jason's great. He's super supportive of us. We hold a PGA tournament, and he's a big help for us, so blessed to have him.
We're fortunate to have Jason.
Yeah.
Great leader up there. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of how you got into the green industry or the superintendent role?
Yeah, well, I grew up at a country club, played golf, and eventually got older and had to do something, so started working at the golf course. And
so you were a player first?
Yes, yeah, I actually played pretty competitive junior golf and got to college and just decided to go down this pathway, and I've been 24 years in the business now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Some of the clubs that you worked at?
So straight out of college, went down to Palm Beach area, worked at Pine Tree Golf Club down there and Seminole Club, and went over and worked with a buddy of mine, Jim Colo, at Old Marsh, and superintendent up at the Floridian up in Stewart, Palm City area for about 3 years, and then decided to go out to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Really?
So went out there, worked at a club called the Alotian Club.
Were you there with Jim?
With Jim.
Okay.
Yeah. Went out there with him, and I was there for about 7-8 years, and had an opportunity to come down to Jacksonville at Timuquana, and it's just been a treat. It's been awesome.
Fantastic. As a superintendent, those in the industry understand that the challenges that you guys face on a daily basis to maintain consistency on your golf course and the work you guys put in. Can you kind of maybe give us one of the tougher challenges as of recent that you've faced, trying to maintain your golf course at the level it needs to be maintained?
Yeah, well, this year in Florida, we've had a wetter, cloudier winter, and it's our season. So that kind of goes against everything we need in order to have those type of conditions we want to have our members play on. And that's just been, it's not something we haven't had before, but it's definitely it's a different challenge every time it happens. So
this El Nino season during this winter seems to have been stronger than those that I could remember. You feel the same? Yeah,
I mean it's I think 2016 maybe was the last one, but I don't really remember it real well. It must have been pretty good for us. I know south of us was a lot of trouble for some guys, but yeah, no, you just really have to you take all these programs that you're used to doing, and you kind of got to throw it in the trash can and make common sense decisions and switch gears a little bit.
And you as opposed to some winters in Florida, and whether it's Jacksonville or Naples, you could kind of before, if it's not an El Nino year, you could kind of predict what you were going to get day to day. And from the 10-day outlook, it's usually sunny and mild temperatures. Not this year.
Yeah, true. I mean, especially down in South Florida, I spent 11 years down there. Winters were a little predictable. North Florida is different.
Okay.
It's totally different. I mean, I've been at Timuquana 9 years, and I haven't had the same winter just haven't had the same winter ever.
Yes.
So it's a challenge.
You're kind of above that subtropical line.
Yeah, I mean, we don't go fully dormant.
Okay.
Yet we're still in the height of our golf season, so that's a real strain on the golf course.
That turf's in the limbo state.
It is. We'll get a frost here and there, and you'll go dormant a little bit, and then 83 degrees 2-3 days later, and grass is wanting to grow again, so it gets tired.
Yes.
It gets real tired, and then you have all the golf traffic on top of it. It's a challenge. Luckily, I feel that people that are members at clubs in that area kind of understand that, And so the expectations, I don't want to say aren't as high, but they understand what we're going through.
Okay. Yeah, you're asking the most out of the grass during a time when it can't physically be the best it can be.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example, I had a Greens Committee chairman. I put him in the middle of the room and said, I want you to sit down in the chair and stand up, and I'll tell you when to stop. And after about 30 seconds of that, he was like, Alan, what are you doing to me?
I said,
well, that's what we're asking this grass to do out on the golf course. It's 83 today. Yeah, we could have 38 degrees, 36 degrees tomorrow.
It's a great lesson.
Yeah, and it's true. And then at the same time, it's burning carbohydrates, and you're trying to replace them, and it's not willing to take them up. So it's a challenge, but we've learned to deal with it. Just like anything you deal with, you figure it out eventually.
Well said. You kind of touched on customer expectations. Since you've started at Timuquana, or just, as throughout your golf course maintenance career, have you noticed a trend in terms of what members expect or come to expect as the years have gone on? Have member expectations gone up, down, stayed the same? Do they fluctuate?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when you're at a club for a number of years, you're obviously, you've been successful, so you're raising the standard, and then that standard becomes the norm. And so sometimes we can be our worst enemy in providing such high standards, and that becomes the expectation. But, it's all about relationships with your membership and talking to them about things and educating them, not with, I guess, the scientific things that we deal with, but just kind of the common sense of what the weather or what we're going to be going into, what's that going to affect us, or how it's going to affect us.
Preemptive communication,
correct,
plays a key role.
It's the key. Yeah, a relationship with your membership or your powers to be, your general manager. If you don't have that, then you're already got a uphill battle.
Well said. Yeah. Any recent projects, renovations that have been done, or you got anything lined up?
Well, we finished up a full golf course restoration. We're old 1923 Ross.
Wow.
So we worked off some old photos and did kind of we called it a restoration type project.
Return to...
Yeah. And we finished that up in August of 22. And then lately we've been putting in a kind of a water treatment nanobubble type system.
Oh, really?
That's been pretty neat for us and got some pretty high expectations for that.
Okay. Can you expand upon that technology?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been around. I may speak out of place a little bit off my just little knowledge I have, but it's pretty big in Australia.
Okay.
We're doing three things with this system. There are some systems that take the ambient air and put it into the water, and that has, like, I believe 21% oxygen. But we're taking that and stripping it down and having a higher concentration of oxygen, like 95%.
Wow.
And so we're putting that in the water. We're also sending it through what they call a generator, which turns the bubbles into nanobubbles. And a nanobubble, if you don't know what that is, it's non-buoyant. You really can't see it, so it stays in the water. So the highly oxygenated nanobubble stays in the water column longer than a normal aeration system.
Okay.
And then our last component on that system is an ozone component,
yes,
which that oxidizes algae, pathogens, biosolids if you have fluent water, oxidizes that on contact and sends the water back into your irrigation pond or wherever you have it.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's
completed, or?
It's completed.
Okay.
It's been running for probably 5 weeks now. We haven't been watering a lot, so we're pretty much flipping the pond over and over, so the numbers are off the charts.
Oh, so you're taking pond measurements?
It's real time. Yeah, I can pull it up on my phone and see the actual
O2
numbers.
levels,
Yeah, the
dissolved oxygen.
Yeah, the dissolved oxygen levels and the ORP in the water. That's what we're following, and
very cool.
And so it's neat. us superintendents are always looking for the next best thing
right?
To make our job easier. And water's always been something that's been difficult. We've pumped acid in the past, and I just feel like I can't pump enough of that.
And it works in Florida.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a little more sustainable.
Okay.
Probably a little more, a lot more environmental friendly. And
smart.
I think it's going to be great.
Great. That's cool to hear about and learn about. As a superintendent, this work that we do or work that you do is quite niche.
Yes.
A lot of people don't quite understand the ins and outs and what you guys do on a day-to-day basis and year-in, year-out basis for the long-term health of your club, and don't quite understand the jobs that you do. Are there some common misconceptions about the superintendent role that you'd like to dispel or maybe talk about?
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of difficult for you to understand or have other people understand what you exactly do, It's funny. I just sometimes in a group of normal people, I'll just say I'm just a grass cutter, but
yes.
we're everything.
Yes,
we're everything from a psychologist for people to running a business, and
to being a doctor of grass that writes prescriptions,
an agronomist,
yep.
a soil, a weatherman. We hold a lot of
hats,
different hats. So, I mean, I just think people aren't educated. They don't know.
Yeah.
And when you have that time, I think it's pretty interesting to them.
I bet. Yeah. They have not as much of an idea of the thought and planning that goes into creating a successful golf course with expectations as high as one like yours.
Well, in South Florida, they all leave and go somewhere else during the summer, and like, well, what do you do during the summer? And I'm like, well,
the golf course is still here.
Yeah, it's still here. It's a living, growing organism that has to be nurtured, and so it's just education.
Yes, it goes back to, like most things, effective communication to all parties involved.
Correct.
What kind of advice would you give to a newcomer into the industry, whether that's an assistant, a young assistant, a new mechanic, or anyone wanting to join your team?
Yeah, that's changed over the years. And I think in order for us as superintendents, we've had to change a little bit with it. The students or younger people, they're involved in a lot more things than we were back in the heyday, and we had time to work, and they have cell phones, and they can see things going on in the world all the time. So we've had to take a different approach. But the one key thing at the end of the day is you got to have a passion to do it, because you can have a plan, you can have a schedule, you can have all these things, but you're going to have to do what you need to do at that moment in time. So if I find a person that just shows excitement and a passion, I just try to give them opportunity, and show them, try to show them value. I think everybody's looking for value.
Yes.
And as a manager, that's something that I've had to change over the years, of just trusting the people underneath you and letting them do their job.
Let them take ownership.
Yeah, totally let them take ownership. I mean, I can't do this alone,
No.
And I don't want to hire somebody just like me. I want you to be different. I want you to have different ideas. I want you to honestly be smarter than me.
Come to me with your ideas.
Correct.
And
Correct.
I'm ready.
I don't want problems. I want solutions.
Yes.
Know, and they're there. I think we've had to learn to be a different kind of manager and understand the world we're living in, and people want more time with their families, with their friends. And honestly, that's probably opened it up to us being a little more efficient and really understanding that, hey, that'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can do it tomorrow. Let's go spend some time with some family and
be able to manage it to where you don't have to sit and watch the grass grow.
You can. I mean, I've done it the other way. I grew up with working the 60 to 80 hour weeks, and not that I'm not afraid to do that nowadays, but I'm searching to be efficient and get it done.
Is it necessary?
Correct.
Yes. Is it worth your time?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Time is a limiting factor.
You know what I like to do with the young guys is they say, "What's my schedule?" I go, "You tell me your schedule. You tell me your schedule you want, and I'll tell you what we need to get done." And it's amazing when they know they can go do whatever they want to do, how efficient,
Someone
how effective they become themselves when you say,
you got to accomplish these goals.
You make your own schedule. I mean, somebody's going to have to be around on the weekend. Somebody's going to have to do that's part of the job. Yeah. But you guys make up the schedule, and you tell me how that's going to be. So
I bet that gets their attention.
Yeah, and every once in a while you got to reel them back in, but that's okay. That's okay.
That's your job.
As long as they're doing their job, and I just find they become even better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. They mature a little bit.
That's correct.
The golf industry in the next 10 years, do you see any trends or things down the pipe? We
have all these software platforms now to utilize and equipment that's, are we going to have autonomous equipment through our whole fleet in the future? So, I really think those things are going to be happening. What I've enjoyed with it is implementing some of these newer softwares. And what I do with my guys is they're all into that. They're all into the numbers.
Yes.
And I am too, but, I grew up with a knife in my pocket. And you stick a knife in the ground, and there's a lot you can tell by how that knife went into the ground, what it felt like, and what kind of moisture or dirt sticking to it.
Yep.
So it's kind of a little bit of a game with the guys is I stick a knife in the ground all the time, and I try to tell them the numbers.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to do is get them to relate to the art of I love it because of the art of it.
Yes.
But I love confirming my senses with the data.
It's nice to confirm that qualitative observation with a quantitative number.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I'm like, guys, take a putter with you.
Yeah.
I know you're doing a stint, but I want you to putt and tell me the stint.
Yes.
Because that's what a member's going to tell you.
Yep.
They're going to go putt and say, oh, they're slow. And so to understand that feeling of a ball roll coming off a putter and getting the data through a stint meter, I just...
Yep.
That's the cool part is trying to relate the older way of how we did it with some of the newer technology. But the technology's coming. I think it's awesome. I'm not there yet with it all, but I'm pretty open and willing to do it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a nice path forward and a way to make best use of technology, and not for it to be a chore, but it's to make your job more efficient and effective.
Correct.
And in that kind of way. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
For your time, Alan. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. And
it's been great. Great to be in Phoenix, a different spot for us.
It's a great turnout.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's great to see all these faces here. And
can't beat the weather, huh?
Oh, I think it's warmer here than it is in Florida right now. So this is
great.
This is not a bad place to come and spend a week. So, I hope you've enjoyed.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Alan, we'll be talking to you later.
Thanks for tuning in to Confessions of the Craft. Ensure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast so you can be the first to hear new episodes and discover previous ones. Follow SiteOne on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for the latest trends and industry updates.